Right now, your body is made of about 7 billion atoms. But what if, in the next 10 seconds, you started shrinking and could not stop? Smaller than an ant, smaller than a cell, smaller than light itself. By the end of this journey, the empty space inside a single atom will feel bigger than the entire universe you left behind. Welcome back to Curio Minds. Today we are shrinking you down to the size of an atom, stage by stage. And I have to warn you, the science of what would actually happen is far stranger and far more terrifying than any movie ever showed you. Stay with me until the end, because at the final stage, reality itself starts to fall apart. Stage 1. You are now 1 centimeter tall, the size of an ant. The first thing you notice is not the size of the furniture, it is the air. At this scale, air stops feeling like nothing and starts feeling like soup. Every breath takes effort. Dust particles drift past you like snowflakes made of rock, dead skin, and fabric. And here is your first surprise. You are suddenly impossibly strong. Not because your muscles grew, but because of a rule of physics called the square cube law. As you shrink, your weight drops much faster than your strength. An ant lifts 50 times its own body weight, and now, so can you. You could leap 10 times your own height without training. At this size, you are a superhero. Enjoy it. It does not last. Stage 2. 1 millimeter, the size of a grain of sand. The world is no longer recognizable. A drop of water is now your greatest enemy. Surface tension, that weak force you never think about, becomes a death trap. Touch a droplet and it swallows you whole, wrapping around your body like liquid glass. You cannot swim out. You cannot break the surface. Insects at this scale drink by grabbing droplets with their claws. You would have to do the same. The carpet beneath you is now a forest of plastic trees. And in that forest, there are hunters. A dust mite, harmless and invisible in your old life, is now the size of a bear, covered in armor, blind, and constantly searching for food. Welcome to the food chain. You are no longer at the top. Stage 3. 1/10 of a millimeter, the edge of human vision. If your family walked into the room right now, they could not see you, no matter how hard they looked. Your voice is too high and too quiet for any human ear. To the world, you have simply vanished. And now something strange begins with light itself. Colors start to behave wrong. As your eyes shrink, they lose the ability to focus light properly. The world becomes blurry, washed out, dim. You are approaching a hard limit written into the laws of physics. Your eyes are becoming too small for light waves to fit inside them. Remember that. It is about to get much worse. Stage 4. 10 micrometers, the size of a human cell. You are now standing in a world no human being has ever seen with their own eyes. A single red blood cell floats past you like a giant rubber disc. Bacteria crawl across surfaces around you, each one the size of a dog, and they outnumber you by trillions. Here is the problem nobody talks about. You can no longer breathe. Not because there is no oxygen, but because at this scale, air is no longer a smooth gas. It is a storm of individual molecules slamming into you millions of times per second from every direction. Scientists call this Brownian motion. You would be shaken violently, punched by invisible fists of nitrogen and oxygen, unable to hold still even for a moment. Your lungs, even if they still worked, could not pull in enough molecules to keep you alive. Stage 5. 1 micrometer, smaller than most bacteria. And now the lights go out. Not because the sun stopped shining, but because of something almost impossible to imagine. You are now smaller than a wavelength of visible light. Light waves are between 0.4 and 0.7 micrometers long. At your size, they simply pass around you, like ocean waves rolling past a grain of sand. Nothing can see you, and you can see nothing. The entire concept of vision stops existing. From here on, You are falling through absolute darkness. Stage 6. 1 nanometer, the width of a strand of DNA. In the darkness, the world has become grainy. Matter is no longer smooth. Everything around you is made of individual molecules vibrating, twisting, colliding. If you reached out and touched a wall, you would feel it buzzing like a hive of angry bees. That vibration is heat. You are literally feeling temperature itself, molecule by molecule. And here is where your own body betrays you. Your brain contains about 86 billion neurons, and it needs all of them to produce the thing you call your mind. But if you shrank by scaling down the number of your atoms, your brain would now have fewer working parts than the brain of an ant. The uncomfortable truth is this: a human mind may simply be impossible at this scale. You would still exist, but would you still be you? The final stage, 1/10 of a nanometer, the size of a single atom. You have arrived, and the first thing you discover is that there is almost nothing here. If an atom were the size of a football stadium, its nucleus would be a single grape sitting at the center of the field. Everything else, everything, is empty space, filled with nothing but electric fields and probability. You are now standing inside that emptiness. 99.9999999% of everything you have ever touched was nothing at all. And the rules you have lived by your entire life are gone. Down here, particles do not have exact positions. They exist as clouds of possibility, in many places at once, until something forces them to choose. Electrons around you are not orbiting like tiny planets. They are smeared across space, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. This is the quantum world. And you, made of just a handful of particles now, would start to obey its rules. You could tunnel through barriers without touching them. Your position in space would become a suggestion. So, could anything like this ever really happen? The honest answer is no. The laws of physics protect you. Atoms cannot be compressed this way, minds cannot survive the journey, and light itself refuses to cooperate. But here's the beautiful part. Everything you just experienced is real. The square cube law is real. Brownian motion is real. Quantum tunneling is happening inside your own body right now, billions of times per second. You do not need to shrink to visit this world. You are already made of it. If this journey fed your curiosity, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week we are going in the opposite direction. What if you grew to the size of a galaxy? Trust me, being big is even scarier. See you in the next one.